The strongest sorcerer in all of existence, the one who surpassed Gojo and Sukuna, master of blood manipulation, god of shrine, Itadori Yuji. Finally, after Modulo has come out fully, we now know how strong Itadori Yuji truly is, and this video will be breaking down all of Yuji's feats, all of his strengths, explaining in depth just how much of a monster he truly is, so you can comprehend why Yuji is the very strongest that there has been, why Sukuna and Gojo can never compare to the true god king of Jujutsu Kaisen, Itadori Yuji. Let's just get right into it. Be sure to leave a like on the video, helps out so much, thank you very much, and of course subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality Yuji glaze just like this video. I love glazing Yuji, and I'll be glazing Yuji for the rest of my life, so if you love Yuji glaze, trust me, you won't regret subscribing to this channel. Now we are going to start with chapter 19, when we finally got to see Yuji in real time in Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo. Now we see that the aliens are about to start a fight, and of course my GOAT, the top one of all time, Itadori Yuji, begins by spawning a ball of blood in his hand. Now if you don't know, as it was said in chapter 258 page 7, now that Yuji has acquired the body of a death painting confirmed by Choso after eating the brothers, Yuji actually transformed his physiology body into the body of a death painting. That's why it ages so slowly, but ever since then he can now convert his own blood into blood manipulation, or specifically into blood. This is a feature only the death paintings can do, or cursed spirits can do. But Yuji makes the ball of blood, and of course he begins to fire off his piercing blood, and this is going to be an insane feat. Many people can't comprehend this, but Yuji's piercing blood actually scatters into hundreds of different pieces. So we see here at least dozens of them go by, and from here it splits off even further into smaller dozens and dozens of pieces. Now people don't understand, but this is actually one of the best feats we've actually seen from Yuji, and even could be better than his dismantle feat. Yes, the dismantle feat, that was a single slash, way bigger than the Fuga, way bigger than Sukuna and Gojo's measly tiny domain expansions. That is impressive just in terms of sheer destruction capability, but this blood manipulation feat may actually, and honest to god actually should be, better than that dismantle feat due to the sheer technique, precision, skill, finesse Yuji has as a sorcerer. And let me break this down for you so you can glaze Yuji in full when someone asks how strong the god king Yuji is. Now first of all, just to fire a piercing blood that's not straight already is a feat not even Sukuna can do. Now we saw Sukuna use the water elephant's water in the same actually way as a piercing blood. Now maybe Sukuna may be able to do this with blood manipulation as well, probably if he was given the technique, but we saw a high tier grade 1 like Choso, and he's high tier grade 1 as a fact because he beat Naoya, one of the strongest grade 1 sorcerers, right? Even Kenjaku was calling him a grade 1 sorcerer himself. All Choso could do, even after 150 years of refining his technique, a high tier grade 1 is only able to do one piercing blood. He can't even split into two, only one piercing blood, and it can only be shot in the trajectory that his hands are pointing. He cannot actually change the direction. If he actually wants to move his piercing blood, as we see all the time in the anime, he actually needs to physically move his hand to point in that direction, so he can't actually bend it. What Yuji is doing is first of all firing the piercing blood, and he's not firing one, he is firing hundreds of them simultaneously, and not only is it all simultaneous, but all of them are bending and curving and going around the building. This already alone is a special grade level feat, but Yuji goes even beyond that. He actually adjusts the output and even the exact precision of his technique to only hit the sorcerers specifically in ways to not fatally injure them and cut them. We see all of the sorcerers are only hit on the sides, or they're made to drop their weapons. He specifically only wanted to kind of just cut them, and he only added and adjusted the output for each of his blood piercing bloods to only cut his opponents so that they would bleed and that they would pass out. That's the only thing that he did. Now this is another insane feat, because this means for hundreds of people in a massive building, this building is huge, Yuji actually adjusted the output individually for each sorcerer so that it would cut them. The only way you think this isn't the case is if you think all of these hundreds of sorcerers in this building are all of a similar power level, or all the exact same rank and have the same level of reinforcement, which of course is not possible. The only answer to Yuji just not killing some and leaving some others injured is that he's actually adjusting it per person. So not only is Yuji doing this special grade level of blood manipulation, but he is actually sensing each and every single person individually, firing each blood manipulation to track each person in a complex building, making its way through this complex building to hit each person adjusted for that specific person's output exactly in ways that are non-vital for them. This is something like Gojo and Sukuna have never done something so as skillful, as precise as this. Like genuinely in all of JJK, I truly mean this, there has never been a skill feat like this, where he just uses such utter control of his cursed energy. His sensing of his opponents is insane, tracking each of them individually, just how somehow he's keeping it up with his mind, and then this sheer special grade, not even special grade, that's disrespectful to the GOAT Yuji to even use the term special grade for him. The Honored One level precision to actually pull something like this off, splitting off hundreds of blood manipulations into a building, an ocean of blood erupting from that building, and each one of them targeting and just actually being homing missiles, like they're actually targeted piercing bloods. You cannot dodge this. These are all basically sure hits. Tracking their opponent down is nuts when a grade 1, a strong grade 1 sorcerer can only do 1 piercing blood and can't even adjust the output like that, and even then he can't even change the direction. So Yuji, bare minimum, this feat is hundreds of times better than a strong high-tier grade 1. And you know what's crazy? Yuji's still holding back, and we know this as a complete fact because Yuji says a bit much as the building explodes in an ocean of blood, implying that Yuji actually was holding back, saying a bit much, like maybe he just overdid it. Even right now, that feat that I just explained, everything I just talked about, was a Yuji holding back from that tiny orb of blood he made. He made an explosion of blood that filled up an entire 10+ story building of blood erupting in an ocean of blood. And again, this is nothing for Yuji. He barely expanded any cursed energy. It was a light work attack where he's holding back. This should, just for reference, be an godlike feat in terms of the amount of blood that he did, the skill that he did to actually pull this off, splitting his piercing blood like that, doing hundreds at the same time. Can you imagine if he was fighting one sorcerer and he fired off hundreds of piercing bloods, all sure hits, all tracking their opponents, and imagine he's not holding back and they're all going Honored One level speeds? Can you imagine? Like, and he's changing the trajectory so they're gonna literally surround his opponent omnidirection. And this is something that's light work. We don't even know what else Yuji can do. He's just doing the basic applications of blood manipulation while holding back, and he's already surpassing anything Gojo and Sukuna could have ever dreamed of. Can you imagine if Sukuna or Gojo dared to have a feat even 10% as good as this? Their fans would have never ever stopped talking about it. Just going to show you how much of a monster Yuji is. And speaking of that Yuji victim who's only 2 Yuji fingers, Sukuna, he actually proceeds to do in chapter 20 a feat that people praise Sukuna as being such a precise skill. This is an incredible application of his technique, but Yuji does the exact same skill as casually as breathing. Hands in his pockets, Otsuki goes flying from the building, 8 stories, crashing down with his axe, and Yuji actually stops the axe without even touching it. This is something Sukuna did all the way back during Shinjuku Showdown, where he catches Maki and Yuta's blades of mini dismantles that are like chainsaws so they can stop weapons without actually touching them. Yuji can do the exact same thing without even looking up. Literally, he's not even looking at the weapon as he does it, hands in his pockets, genuinely, casually, like it's nothing. He stops it and does what Sukuna can do as well, and Sukuna was praised for doing by everybody. Not only does Yuji does it, but the guy, Otsuki, that says it or gets blocked by Yuji, he says, "Are we sure he's an earthling? He has the same presence as a Kalyan, and Kalyans are their gods." He is literally saying Yuji has the presence of a god, divine presence, a aura that of his own divine beings. The gods that they worship, he's literally calling Yuji right now capital G God right here. Is there any aura that's crazier than that? Is there anyone who has an aura feat even close to what Yuji's got right now? I don't think so. I don't think anyone has been compared to God before. Yuji says, "You seem pretty sturdy," as he charges up his fist of cursed energy, and this is the craziest part. Such precision, Mino says. I didn't even sense any cursed energy from him until he collected it into his fist. This is an insane level of feat we've never even seen Gojo Sukuna do. He can control his cursed energy so well, it's actually the exact same as Zetsu from Hunter x Hunter, where he completely shuts off his aura and you can't even sense or know he exists. He literally is invisible. Only when he begins to actually use his cursed energy, only then do you sense it. An insane feat where even Mino is saying such precision. And Yuji, while holding back, here's the craziest part, we learn that he can do black flashes at will. Yes, the one blessed by the sparks of black, chosen by the sparks of black. He can do it at will, and this is crazier than what anyone thinks. Just imagine, a black flash is something that can actually restore your output. Now, output is something you naturally lose as you're fighting and you take damage. It's actually completely normal. Sukuna and Gojo both were losing outputs during their fight when they were fighting each other just from taking damage from each other. Even it was said multiple times during the fight that they both tried to restore their outputs in multiple ways. Gojo's was restored when he hit black flashes, and even Sukuna's output was being restored later on in the Shinjuku fight when he hit black flashes. Just naturally taking damage, like this is again confirmed, it was all said, you naturally lose your output as you fight. Not even the Six Eyes can actually restore your output. The only thing that can restore your output is a black flash, meaning Yuji is the only sorcerer in existence, even including Gojo and Sukuna. They cannot do this. He is the only sorcerer that can constantly fight at 100% output, never losing his output, because he can hit black flashes at will. Can you imagine every attack from Yuji, who is already stronger than Gojo and Sukuna, is a black flash? I mean, honest to God, if he were to fight hand to hand with Sukuna or Gojo, even if he used domain amplification to touch Gojo and hit black flashes each time, he would genuinely beat them in just a few blows. That's how insane it is to be able to hit black flashes. I mean, just look at Maki, who was fighting Sukuna evenly for quite a long time, but the moment Sukuna hit a black flash, it took her out, and the moment she was hit by another black flash, she was fully taken out of the entire Sukuna fight. Now imagine if Yuji's fighting Sukuna, and he's Honored One level, mind you. He's an actual Honored One level character, and even stronger, not just Shinjuku Yuji, and he's hitting black flashes with every punch he can do. The fight's ending in just literally a minute, as his output keeps ramping up and up. The only sorcerer, even Gojo of the Six Eyes can't do, and we see the black flash sends Otsuki while he's holding back, mind you. He's literally holding back with his black flash. It sends him flying through the city blocks, crashing, and he's knocked out in a single punch. Mind you, Otsuki, I've done a scaling before, but he is someone who's actually stronger than a grade 1 sorcerer. He's definitely not special grade, but bare minimum, actually a comfortable amount stronger than a grade 1, like a decent amount stronger, and he got one hit by a black flash, and Yuji casually just flexing with his muscles, doing a tiny piercing blood, not even a piercing blood, just shooting, I guess, blood from his palms, and instantly doing the perfect precision, perfect output, perfect adjustment, perfect angle right on the cheeks of Mino. He actually cut those cheeks right open and just poisoned him right away, as it was confirmed that Yuji's basically technique has poisoning, and we even see all of the grade 1 sorcerers knocked out behind, or grade 2 or 3, whatever, but from the room that Yuji did his attack. And we see Miyaguni isn't knocked out, but of course that's very likely because she's Yuji's daughter, as I talked about actually in my previous video, where we found out some new information on Chiharu Miyaguni. That's her full name, very likely Yuji's daughter, but won't talk about that now. This is a video glazing the God King, glazing Itadori all day, every day, Honored One level character who's better than Sukuna Gojo. That is what this video is for, to glaze the strongest in all of history. And actually, just to continue an incredible godlike feat that, oh, the Yuji haters try to downplay this. People who hate on Yuji try their best to try and make this seem like it's not an impressive feat. They try to say it's not that impressive or it's just dust, but they can only cope. Only the Yuji haters can cope on how incredible this feat is, how godlike it is. Yuji's singular dismantle, power creeping Gojo, Sukuna, and any other character out of existence. Now, we see that this entire row of cursed spirits is huge. I will show you right now. Yuji uses a single dismantle shot, and it is utterly wide. We can see these buildings in comparison. We don't get to see the beginning or end of it, and actually we get to see how wide the dismantle was just by actually analyzing the diameter of the explosion of the dust from the cursed spirits. Now, people really try to downplay this by saying, oh, these dust explosions were just from the cursed spirits. That is not an arguable downplay. The point is, it doesn't matter if this dust is coming from the cursed spirits or not. That doesn't matter at all. The point is how wide and deadly and massive and how far this dismantle went. Analyzing from where Yuji is standing, from where he fired it, how far it traveled, and how wide it was, because think about it. If all that dust explosion came from Yuji, it doesn't matter if the dust is coming from cursed spirits or not. The point is the dismantle is wider than literally Sukuna's Fuga times by like 10. People actually analyzed how big it is. We see how big Tokyo Colony 1 is and 2 is, and the actual length of Yuji's dismantle covers the whole colony. And if you've been watching the anime recently and you see how huge these colonies are, how wide they are, I want you to comprehend Yuji's single dismantle shot actually is wider than the whole colony. If Yuji were to use dismantle on that barrier, it would actually cut straight through and cover the whole thing. That's how strong Yuji's barrier is. Sorry, I shouldn't say barrier, dismantle is. And people try to downplay it, saying, oh, he only did it on cursed spirits, or the explosion came from cursed spirits, as if this guy didn't pull a dismantle the literal half size of Tokyo, bigger than a colony. I don't care who it killed. I don't care what grades these curses are. And again, still an insane feat because he killed tens of thousands of cursed spirits, like literally tens of thousands of them with a single dismantle, and people are still trying to downplay it like it's fodder. Like, it's nuts to me. It doesn't matter where this explosion came from. It's dust from cursed spirits or from the dismantle. It's the fact that the single dismantle, a casual dismantle, is that big, is that wide, is that strong that it can do something like that. The biggest this dismantle that we've ever seen from Sukuna genuinely is hundreds, bare minimum, hundreds of times smaller than this, if not thousands of times. We can actually see how big the Fuga is. You can see in comparison to the size of how wide Yuji's dismantle was and how far it traveled. It's not a comparison at all. You know what makes this feat even crazier? What makes this an even more godlike feat? It's the fact that Yuji was doing it casually. It's not amped by any chance. It's literally not amped at all. It is a casual, puts his fingers up, says dismantle, and that's it. Because we know sorcerers can make their attack stronger by doing full chance. Yuji didn't do any chance. He just simply did the attack, and that's that. One single dismantle was dozens of times bigger than Sukuna and Gojo's domain. Sukuna's Fuga, like, it's just wider and bigger than it. That's what's so crazy. It is a casual, regular dismantle from Yuji. God only knows how much stronger he is than Sukuna and Gojo. People trying to downplay a dismantle half the size of Tokyo, traveling across half of Tokyo, killing tens of thousands of cursed spirits, and people actually try to downplay it is nuts to me. It just goes to show you, Yuji could literally walk on water. He could literally start flying. The author can say he's stronger than Gojo and Sukuna combined, like the narrator can say it, and people still won't believe it because nobody wants to admit that Yuji truly is the God King. No matter what, Yuji's always gonna have his haters, and that's the funniest part of all of this. And let us just talk about Yuji's final feat that people again still try to downplay. Yuji versus Mahito. I remind you, it doesn't matter that he's fighting Mahito, who's a special grade cursed spirit, but it doesn't matter that he's fighting Mahito, and Mahito has a home advantage. Imagine, they're literally fighting in the world of souls where everything is literally made out of the souls. Like, Mahito has the ultimate home advantage. This is the craziest part. From the moment the fight starts and Yuji steps back and then Shibuya, Yuji doesn't move from his spot. He literally doesn't take a step forward or backwards. He doesn't even take his hands out of his pockets, and he one-shots Mahito and his domain expansion. Like, it is a godlike feat, especially knowing Mahito can do his domain expansion in 0.2 seconds just as fast as Gojo actually did in Shibuya. That's what makes it crazy. He can do his domain expansion as fast as Gojo. And Sukuna, or I guess I should say Yuji, the next and better Sukuna, blitzed him without saying a word, without moving from where he stood. Literally didn't move from where he stood. Mahito's domain expansion gets cut off mid-sentence as Yuji does the omnidirectional slash in every direction. And this feat, by the way, hundreds of times better than anything Sukuna has ever shown us. Anything. You can show me any Sukuna feat, this out is better than it. Bare minimum 10 times. Actually, if you're just looking at it like a normal power scaler, hundreds of times better than anything Sukuna has done. Better than Sukuna's Fuga, better than any dismantle or any shrine feat he's ever done, better than any cleave feat he's ever done. This is better. One of the most hyped up Sukuna feats, and this is the funniest part, is when Sukuna actually did the mind slash without using any hand signs or saying anything that he did against the two twins and once again against Kusakabe. It's very funny because Sukuna actually did this against a grade 1 sorcerer and it was blocked. Actually, it was blocked anyway, and yet Sukuna fans for years always use this as a way to hype up Sukuna, saying, look, he can activate his techniques for hand signs, he doesn't even need to think, it's a mind slash, this is why Sukuna's the GOAT. Then Yuji proceeds to do that literally thousands of times better, where it's not a single slash, he does it omnidirectionally. Sukuna, even with his hand signs, even with his chance and at his full power, has never done this. Yuji does this with no chance. His hands are in his pockets, not saying anything, with his mind, where Sukuna can only do one dismantle that can get deflected by a grade 1. That's the best Sukuna can do with his mind slashes. Yuji right here, hands in his pockets, does a omnidirectional mind slash in every direction. It is a 360, up, down, left, right, all the corners, all around him, and it cuts not only Mahito, it literally cuts the world itself. It cuts the buildings underneath him, like dozens or hundreds of meters away. It literally cuts the surrounding buildings that are huge, they're like 10 stories tall. It cuts everything apart. This is insane. It's the fact that all of these, again, are made up of soul, so all of Yuji's mind cuts are all soul embedded, but it's so fast, it blitzed a special grade cursed spirit. And mind you, Kusakabe, who is again a grade 1 sorcerer without even a cursed technique, is able to deflect Sukuna's one single dismantle mind slash. That's the only thing he can do. Yuji does omnidirectional. Sukuna, even at his best, cannot do it omnidirectional. Yuji does it with his mind, and this is something Gojo and Sukuna could never compare to. You know what makes it even crazier? People try to downplay this as, oh, he just did did this against Mahito. That's why this feat doesn't mean anything. No, it doesn't matter who he does it against. First of all, it's a special grade curse spirit Mahito. It's still impressive nonetheless, but it doesn't matter if he just did this to no one, and we just saw Yuji doing this in training. It's the fact that this is such a high level skill that not even Sukuna or Gojo have like even a comparison. They don't have any feat, any precision, any technique, any application, any skill that ever compares to something like this. That's what makes this impressive. So people trying to downplay this, like just against Mahito, as if Sukuna's only mind feat is like a single dismantle that he shot of his mind that gets deflected by a Great Old Sorcerer. That's like said to be the most impressive thing. I was hearing people glaze that feat that he did against Kusagabe for years. For years, I heard people glaze that, showing why Sukuna is the most skilled sorcerer of all time. Yuji proceeds to do something a literal 1,000 times more impressive. Like, and I'm genuinely underselling it. 1,000 times more impressive than that. Like, he's not even saying anything, just a mind slash omnidirectional, cutting skyscrapers around, well, not skyscrapers, but like large buildings, like 10-story buildings around him in every direction, the ground beneath them, the sorcerer, that special grade curse spirit is trying to activate domain expansion, hand in his pockets, not moving from where he's looking at, all soul embedded, and it's like, this is supposed to be not as impressive, like, in terms of skill and precision. Like, can you comprehend what I'm saying, right? I hope if you've watched this far, people trying to downplay it, saying, oh, it's against Mahito. Oh, it's against like a 10,000 just random great curse spirits. Like, it is nuts to me. Like, people will do anything to downplay Yuji's feats. Like, Yuji could do it against Sukuna, I guarantee you, and people would still downplay it. The narrator could say Yuji's the strongest in history, and people will say the narrator's wrong. Gege, genuinely, it's like he's writing it for toddlers. Like, guys, look, Yuji is doing things Sukuna and Gojo could never even like comprehend. His dismantle is hundreds of times bigger than Sukuna's domain expansion or Gojo. Like, in terms of its length and how wide it is, a single dismantle casual. Yuji's doing like mindless, omnidirectional, soul-cutting attacks, cutting the literal world around him in a special grade curse spirit before he even activated domain expansion, without moving from where he's standing, without doing a chant, without even saying anything, like, and doing blood manipulation that we saw on that level. Gege is clearly showing it. It's like he's literally drawing this for a toddler, and a 5-year-old that's reading would understand, oh, Gege is trying to show us Yuji is the strongest of all time. Like, Gege is clearly trying to show it, but people are so wrapped up in their agendas, in this and that, they just can't admit it. It has to be Gojo or Sukuna, even though Yuji would destroy Gojo and Sukuna at the same time in a 2v1. That's just how strong my guy is. That's just how strong my goat is. My Yuji glaze is why my heart beats, and I will glaze this man till the end of time. He's got his haters, even though Gege made it as obvious as you could that he's like the strongest of all time. Even though Gege did it, people are still gonna find a way to hate. People are still gonna find a way to downplay. Oh, it's against this, it's against that. People will always try to find a way to downplay the true strongest because they just don't want to admit Itadori all day, every day actually ended up being the strongest. Yuji had so many haters from the beginning saying, oh, he's a punch kick merchant, he's a grade 1 merchant. Throughout all of the original Jujutsu Kaisen, Yuji had so many haters downplaying him, and they just can't admit now that he has surpassed all of their goats, that their agendas ended up being wrong, and that Yuji actually ended up becoming the true strongest in history, the strongest in all of existence throughout the whole universe. That's my goat right there. But hey, let me know in the comments down below why you love Itadori Yuji and why he's the goat. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like on the video, especially if you watched this far. A like does help out. Thank you very much. And of course, subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo content just like this. If you love JJK Modulo, I promise you're not going to subscribing, especially if you love Yuji. You're definitely not going to regret subscribing to this channel. I am the #1 Yuji Glazer. But hey, that's all from me, my fellow Yuji Glazers. Have a wonderful day and take care.